Hey everyone! It's time for another weekly episode of Sawyer-san's Magic Ride. This week, I think I might have found some souvenirs to give everyone. Also, a reminder, before I get into any news or questions, comments, and snide remarks, last weekly update I made a call to action, really, asking everyone who's watching my videos to leave their name in the comments section, either on YouTube or on the Facebook post, if they would like to keep receiving their name tagged in a Facebook post every week. So that way I don't have to kind of go through and think, oh, this person might like to see this video, and it keeps the list more consistent. Anyway, continuing. This week, again, I'm coming to you from the disappointing room of mediocre videos. This is more of a goof on my part, though, more than me just being lazy or anything else. It's usually the case. This week, I went with my Japanese teacher to a bunch of different places across Yaizu City, and I thought, okay, I'm going to bring my camera, and I'm going to shoot a ton of video. I'm going to give people a broad overview of the city that's not as small. Well, it is small. It's not as boring as I initially thought it was. So, I get to the first location with my teacher, and I go to get my camera out, and I go to turn it on, and I don't hear a click, because usually my camera makes a click when it opens into the video mode. No click. Okay, turn it back, turn it again, no click. Okay, there's something wrong. Open the screen on the back, and I turn it on, no card in the camera. I'm a huge dummy! Anyway, about the trip with my Japanese teacher, it was really cool, actually. We went to Hanazawa no Sato, which is kind of a really old village. I think it's like east of Yaizu? Something like that. It's really cool. You park in this one area, and then you walk up this trail, and then there's kind of this fork in the road where you can choose to go to a different place, or you can keep going up to Hanazawa no Sato. And, you know, the further you go up, the older the buildings get, and the older the village is, the tinier it is, and the more traditional the architecture is, and that was so cool. Like, you got to see an old farmhouse, an old farmstead, where there's two buildings and then this little arched, it almost looks like a walkway between the two above them, and that's actually a gate that you go through to enter into the building, or enter into the complex, I guess you would call it. And the two buildings that comprise the two sides of the gate are stables and storage for farming equipment, so that was super dope. As we went up the trail, we got to see a traditional Japanese Buddhist burial ground, and when we got to the top of this path, well, not really the top, but you get the picture, the end of our journey, we actually went up to an old temple, and man, it was really interesting. You know, it's really traditional Japanese culture, pagan culture, but hey, it's still really cool, really old, really interesting, and there's a lot of history that still revolves around some of these old folk tales and old traditions in Japan. After we went to Hanazawa no Sato, we went to a different temple. It was bigger. Oh, that was really cool too. Like, there was a scribe's room where they read their Buddhist scripture or whatever it is. And then there was a main chapel, which was huge. We couldn't really go inside, but from like just the beginning doorway, you got to see like an antique palanquin. If you don't know the definition of that word, you should look it up. An antique palanquin, and you looked into the main sort of court. There's like a whole bunch of really ornate brass or gold bells hanging from the ceiling, and some icons, and the whole floor is like polished wood, and it's really cool, man. Anyway, after we got done at that temple, we went to Sakana Center, which is Yaizu's big fish market, and it kind of reminds you of Pike Place Market. We were going through this market, and there's just, fish everywhere. All kinds of weird, special, cool Japanese seafood dishes. And, some really kind of gut-churning looking ones. Anyway, we were going through, and then I ended up buying I got 50% off too. I ended up buying a set of maguro kama meat, and I'll put a picture here. And that's like tuna meat that's from around the head area. That was really good. I ate it that night, and it was really good. Really oily, but really good. After that, we just kind of drove around looking at like the port and some different little landmarks. If you ever do get the chance to visit Yaizu, you drive around the place. It's not as big as I thought. The city's not as big as I thought it was originally because, in this case, I was driving around in a car, and that makes everything feel smaller. If you're just walking around, it'll take you like an hour to get from at least my place to the seaside or the port. Almost forgot, I think I've decided on my souvenirs that I'm going to bring back from Japan. And they're really cool. All right. Check this out. These are erasers. I know, right? That's really cool. These are erasers. And I actually got a third set. I had to pick it up. I just couldn't resist. I got these for like less than $5 a set. I actually got 2 sets of the gun ones. I wanted a full set for myself. Alright, so in the gun set you get 2 little eraser bullets. These are probably the most practical ones. And the bullet actually separates from the case. Really thick-walled case. Rimmed cartridge. The case looks like it's about 45 caliber, and then the bullet looks like it's about 40. Gun nerd things. You get an array of pistols, including a Model 92 Beretta, a couple of what appear to be Colt Pythons with a Smith & Wesson cylinder release, a Walther P38, a roughly modeled Walther P38, and last but not least, an H&K MP7. Yeah. So the cool thing about these is that you see that they have different colors of rubber. And I'm sorry the camera's out of focus because I want to be able to show you these things. You'll notice that they have different colors of rubber for like the grip panels on the pistols and the bullets. You might have seen it on the bullets, but they actually separate. They actually cast 2 different colors and then they put the 2 together. So the way this works is they fit together. So the grips on the pistols are actually separate pieces. And what this means on the 2 revolvers is you can actually change the grips. Originally when I bought this set, the black grips were on the gold revolver and the wood colored grips were on the black revolver here. So that's a cool feature, I think. Also, some of them have movable parts. So like you'll notice on this MP7, it has a folding grip that on the real version folds. Likewise, it does so on the MP7. And that's really cool. Okay, now for questions, comments, and snide remarks, the part of the show where I answer your questions and comments that you leave on the Facebook and YouTube posts. So let's get started. This week I want to lead off actually with an email that my Uncle Bud and Aunt Steph sent me today, or was it yesterday? I can't remember. Either way, I'll of course make a proper response through email, but I wanted to answer some of the questions that they asked in this email because I think they're interesting. Alright, so let's get started. Why didn't you buy a tripod right there in good old Cannon country, Japan? We'd have thought that would be a pretty easy item to find there. And yes, it is an easy item to find here. In fact, I have a camera shop that's less than 100 yards away from my house. I actually bought my first tripod from there, and it was great. It was pretty light. It did what it was supposed to, but the quality wasn't quite there. It was decent. It worked for a good while, and then it cracked. So that's a tripod that broke, and I'd had enough at that point. I said, okay, let's get a real quality product here. So I contacted my Austin and said, hey, can you recommend a tripod? So that's the story behind that. Do they refer to the winter break that's coming up soon as a Christmas break? And the answer is no, because it really doesn't have anything to do with Christmas time at all. In fact, most people work right through Christmas. The holiday that they actually celebrate is New Year's, and like the first 3 or 4 days after New Year's. And they have a special meal that they eat called osechi, and it's pretty much like a boxed meal, but they don't eat anything else during this time. So for 3 days solid, it's osechi, osechi, osechi for every meal. It's like turkey leftovers in America. And they finished off their email by tagging this interesting thing. So they said, there is a cultural thing I thought would make an interesting discussion for your weekly vid. Learning/practicing the acceptable bowing etiquette. So tell us how that is going for you, and if you've had any interesting/amusing experiences with that so far. So, yes, it's common knowledge that in Japan and even Korea and China, when you greet someone, or there are many circumstances where you have to bow. There aren't a whole lot of special rules for the bow. You bow pretty much based on your level of respect. So if you just give a slight head bob, that's kind of just a courtesy thing, where if you bow more with your body, then that's an actual sign of respect or reverence for someone. I've had quite a bit of interaction with Japanese people before I came to Japan, and so I got a lot of practice bowing with them. One thing I have heard is that bowing to people who are working in the service industry, like cashiers, fast food workers, people who are working to serve you, who refer to you as okyakuma, which means the customer, the honored customer. If you bow to them, it makes them feel uncomfortable, because their job is to respect you and respect your presence, because you are the honored customer. And so that means they have to put themselves in a position of humility. Everywhere I bow, just either it's a little head bob, or sometimes if I'm receiving a lot of service, then I'll do the full half body bow. If they do have any problem with it, they keep it to themselves, and they talk about it, later on with their colleagues or whoever. So thanks, Uncle Bud and Aunt Steph, for that letter. I really appreciated reading it, and I'll send you a response soon, either tonight or tomorrow. Depends on how long editing this video actually takes. So moving right along to YouTube and Facebook comments. YouTube comments on the last weekly update. So first off, we have my dad. Hey Dad, glad to hear you're doing all right. For those of you who don't know, my dad was in the hospital pretty much most of last week with a lot of heart blockage. So there's a good Facebook post on that that you can check out. Dad asks, Sawyer, where do you get the music tracks you have on your videos? Dad, to start things off, I thought, okay, let's look for royalty-free music. Usually that's a good way to to use music without having to pay for a license for every individual piece of music you use, which can be quite a lot. Now, some royalty-free music you can use pretty easily. They call it an attribution license. So I used, for my intro music, I have a piece of royalty-free music by Ben Sound, and all he requires is, hey, just give me a little credit in your YouTube description. So that's perfectly fine for me. The problem I had with royalty-free music, as I started to develop, started to get better at these videos was a lot of it kind of sucks. Lo and behold, there's actually music that has no copyright on it, which is great. I like that. So if I use this music that has no copyright on it, they just ask, hey, could you give a link to the artist's social feeds in your description. So, okay, that's great. Anyway, so for the music I use www.bensound.com, heroboard.com, and No Copyright Sounds. And Heroboard and No Copyright Sounds both have channels on YouTube. Moving on, Miss Cowgirl17 says, love your videos. What's the inspiration behind the verses you pick each week? It's kind of... The inspiration is just kind of whatever I choose. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I might look on the Bible app and see what verse of the day is and say, okay, let's see, what's the context here? Okay, I might use that, or I might use something close to that selection. Christopher Wright on YouTube says, you don't know me, but your mom was my first and second grade teacher. Best teacher ever. I was actually at hers and your dad's wedding. Awesome. My wife is from Kawasaki, Kanagawa. I have been to Japan 3 times and I love it. We were in Shizuoka this summer to ride Thomas the Tank Engine. Tell me where that is. I want to take pictures of it because I grew up watching Thomas the Tank Engine. I learned how to speak English through Thomas the Tank Engine. So if you can, comment on this video or on the Facebook post or whatever and tell me what city that's in. I want to do that. Let me know if there's anything I might be able to offer insight on or help with. Too bad you're not closer to Kawasaki or Yokohama. My brother-in-law lives in Yokohama and loves practicing English. Tell your mom Christopher Wright says hello. Alright? Thanks, Chris. That comment was actually really cool. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it is a bummer I don't live closer to Yokohama. Yokohama for me is about an hour trip by Shinkansen to get there, and that costs quite a bit of money. So it's the same deal with Tokyo. Thanks, Chris. I look forward to reading more of your comments in the future and answering more questions. If I do need anything, I'll be sure to let you know. Okay, Facebook comments now. Right. So first couple are from Mom. They say, if they shipped you something, then shipping can't be that expensive. Did you have to pay for shipping the tripod? What company did they use to ship your tripod? So B&H sent my tripod through FedEx, and I'm sure there's some kind of business discount that they got for that. How much did I actually pay for shipping? I might have actually paid close to over $50 for shipping. So it does cost quite a bit. It's not horribly expensive, but it is a pain to pay. Next comment. Interesting, the only angels I saw were like Valentine angels. Also, no Santa even. Yeah, that's pretty common. Also, that light show in the last video isn't really a Christmas light show. It's just lights. And that's pretty common throughout Japan. It's not any specific holiday driven light show. It's just lights for winter. Aunt Julie says, can you buy a Christmas tree in Japan? Do people decorate trees in their homes like we do? I'm sure some people decorate trees in their homes, and maybe you can buy a Christmas tree. Well, I know there are Christmas trees here. I just don't know if people really buy them. Almost definitely they don't buy real trees. Next comment, Joel Hedrick. Loving the short format. I miss the awkward penguin noises trying to open the packages with one hand. Oh yeah. There are many moments filming those shorter videos where I do wish I really had 3 hands. So yeah, I think I'll continue making short format videos when something interesting happens, or if I can think about some topic or some action that would be cool to have a short video on. Last week, after I uploaded the last weekly update, I uploaded another short format video on YouTube, so check out my YouTube channel if you want to see that, because I don't want to make another Facebook post about it. Basically a short format video where I found a Japanese Coke Christmas bottle, and there's a special feature on it that you should go check out my video if you want to see it. Anyway, there are a couple comments on it that I'd like to read. Mom says, "That's so cool." And yeah, it's really cool. Tyler Guerrero says, "Sawyer, I need one of those." I'm not going to hold on to one all the way until I come back to America. Mom also comments, "I'm going to look and see if they have those here." 100% I'm sure they don't. I don't know why they don't have them in America, because I think they'd sell like hotcakes. But I'm almost 100% sure that they don't. Alright, I'm thinking that just about does it for questions, comments, and snide remarks this week. If you'd like to get involved in this discussion, you can always leave a comment down below in the YouTube post or in the Facebook post, whichever one you frequent more. And don't forget, leave your name in the YouTube or Facebook post if you would like to continue being on the Facebook tag list. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Liking and commenting is going to make these videos more popular. More people will be able to watch them, or more people will be exposed to the opportunity to watch them. And subscribing on YouTube keeps you updated, so you don't have to go to the Facebook post every time you want to watch my videos. Until next week, you guys stay safe. Bye.